Pub Dad says, I'm so hyped for Conor. I want to think he can win, but you think of anyone else that's made successful comeback after 5 years? Seems a mountain for him to climb. This thing with Conor, though, do you ever really count him out? Out of all the guys that have come through the UFC, is Conor really the one you want to doubt? Also, huge Max Holloway fan, but he's looking a little too thick for my liking. For Max Holloway fan, looking a little too thick. Conor looks damn good at 170. Damn good. Rafi says, I don't think Conor can do it. I felt the same way about Max. I'm hoping he cuts down and come in a little light. I think Conor can do it. Rafi says, his speed can be a huge factor in the fight, and his power. You know, this isn't Max from 5-6 years ago. Max did get dropped by Ilya. Max coming off a loss, right, from Charles. So it's a good time. Listen, it's a tough task.
We got some. I'm pumped up. We got Conor McGregor. I'm not 100% sold. I'm praying this guy shows up. I mean, he's got to show up now. What
you
are
don't
we?
think
What,
he'll fight?
I mean, what are we? 10 days out. We're 10 days out from Conor McGregor making the walk again. It's going to be so fucking sweet. 170 pounds. Max Holloway. I've been watching some of his vlogs. He's been sparring with Jack Madalena. He's been sparring with this guy that we know named Keone Diggs.
Oh, really?
Who's got just a great left hand, a great southpaw left hand. I'm fired up for the fight. This is a lot of pressure on Conor. Hopefully he's going in there. This might be the last time you see Conor McGregor ever compete again.
If he goes out there.
We see him go dink, dink, dink. He tattoos his ass, puts him down, and now we got Conor McGregor versus Justin Gaethje on the horizon.
Would you rather see him go out in there and smoke Max, or just go out there and just stumble and fall?
I'd like to see him win.
Me too.
Even though I really like Max Holloway, like I'm such a fan of him, and he's just a good, nice dude.
Yeah.
But just for our entertainment,
For sure.
see Conor go crazy again. Justin,
Talk about Conor McGregor first. Let's talk about what he does great. What he loves to do is force you to fight. I talk about this a lot. You get guys that love to force you, they make you panic punch. You've got great fighters. Pereira, Yuri likes to do this. Ilya will like to do this as well. Lopez. There's so many fighters that love to do this. They love to be right in front. They love to force you to fire so they can land on you. Perfect example is usually Conor McGregor. He will literally race to you, like get right in this range and pressure you and fire stuff, back you up into a corner and sort of really, really get you like all freaking out, and then you just getting aggressive and then pull and counter. Can he be that good with his timing? I don't believe he will ever be that good again. But can he still have great timing, still be sharp, still have a good eye? 100%. I still think he's going to be able to hit Max. Max has got a great chin. I think he's going to have to rely on his chin a little bit. Max is much better now, being a little bit more defensive and not trying to just volume punch. He's going to know not to do that with someone like Conor as well, because he could get caught and get caught big if he was to try and, be the fighter that he was earlier in his career, which I'll talk about, because I'm going to talk about even our fights and what I've seen changes in that since then and sort of now. You got to have the right fighter to be able to not fall into the traps that Conor puts. Khabib did a great job. Conor raced him to the cage thinking that he was going to panic punch, shoot and all that, but you could see that Khabib wasn't having any of it. Obviously, just exited, but he's very defensive, got himself out of that position because he sort of knew that Conor was trying to pressure him and even line up that knee. You actually see it when Khabib shoots his first takedown. You could see the timing that Conor had. He sort of switches the knee and just misses. But what Khabib did a great job of was putting his head right off center. It was a normal shot where the head was just hitting the hip or coming on this side. Khabib's would have been lights out. But Khabib did a great job of really sitting his head right off center, which he does. Islam does a great job of this. They put their head right out of danger and just grab the leg. They're really, really good at doing that. And that's what saved him here. But again, this is a timing that Conor has. Conor is so good with his timing, shot selections.
Max is always down for a fight. He's he's a current guy. You know, he still trains. He still lives the lifestyle. Conor's had a lot of ups and downs with doing that. You know, we no longer see the Conor of old, and he is a good talker. So even though he may say that he is doing fantastic and the videos look great, it's not quite certain if that's the case. So I think Conor's very skilled. I think he's probably one of the most skilled, and his early fights show that. His initial run shows that. So um, I don't think we'll get quite that, but I'm hoping that it's a good fight. It's a little bit back and forth, and I don't see it going the distance, but I don't know who I lean towards, honestly. I mean, I would have to say Max is just, like I said, living in the moment, living as a fighter, and that I possibly go.
Oh my gosh. Let's see what side if McGregor learned, he should win, right? But I just don't think he has. It's been too long. I think Max Holloway just breaks him mentally, and because that's the name of the game. Like all the techniques and stuff, and you're skillful. It's who can perform at that intensity, at that thin line. I just call it that thin line because it's such a thin line to keep mentally while you and another great fighter combat each other. It's just these small decision makings, right? And if you get tired, which I don't think Max Holloway will do, you create more errors. And I think how Conor McGregor has been living his life, I think he's
With just days to go before the highly anticipated McGregor-Holloway rematch, the fan base is clearly split down the middle. Former champions, elite athletes, respected coaches, and top analysts have all shared their thoughts, and their opinions couldn't be more different from one another. Some believe McGregor is fully capable of shocking the world with one perfectly timed strike, while others remain convinced that Holloway's speed and hard-earned experience will win out in the end. So where do the experts actually land on this?
It's too hard to say. Connor's been out. Like, we don't know what we're going to see, which version of Conor we saw. Like, even the last fight that we saw him in didn't look great. Yeah, I understand he got injured and stuff like that, but the one before that wasn't great either. You know. But in saying that, let's say we see Conor of old come back, like huge, muscly, 170, feeling himself. He's a nightmare for anyone. He's got some of the, like in his prime, his striking would have been the best in the UFC. Like I think his timing and combos and eyes were just sensational. So yeah, I think that version of Conor is very dangerous for anyone. But are we going to get that version? Who knows? Who knows? And seeing Max at 170, I don't know what that's going to look like either. You know, I think he looked great at 155 last time, but now this is another step up. Conor's obviously been moving around at 170 for a while now, so I think he's much more comfortable in that weight division. Max's style relies a lot on volume and speed. So how that plays at a heavier weight, we don't know. There's a lot of unknown factors in this fight, honestly.
You think we see Conor going for a takedown like their first fight? I mean, the Charles Oliveira fight kind of showed Max maybe has a gap there, but, you know, Conor's not like a D1 wrestler or anything.
If he goes for a takedown, he'll never live it down. No one will let him.
It's tough. It's tough. I think that's the tough one, just because it's at welterweight. Max is moving up, obviously, but I feel like Conor kind of like walks around at that, if not a little bit less than that. Yeah, I would say he probably hits harder at 170, but I'll also say Max probably hits harder at 172. But I will say I do think that Conor's going to come out and grapple. So I'm going to say that it might be like their first fight, and Conor potentially could win a decision. Is it 5 rounds?
5 rounds, yeah.
Oh, no. All right. I'm gonna switch this up. I'll go Max. Winning this fight.
I think Holloway gets it for sure. I think Conor's just been away for too long, and you know, Prime Connor was so fucking cool. Like his mindset on everything, his mentality, his belief in himself, his discipline, and just his thought process and the way he went about training and fighting and his mobility and all of that. He was a huge inspiration. But I don't know. I don't think he's the same McGregor that was.
I think it's exciting for sure. I'm looking forward to it. When I heard there was a possibility, I was like, that's the fight to make. And, you never count Connor out, but I think Max has his number. I think Max will have his number. I think Connor was a little bit more fluid back in the day, and his kicking game added a different type of dynamic to the danger with him. And I think that since he's went so boxing heavy, I think that there's going to be some things that play really well into Max's game. So I will be going and I will be thinking Max is going to win. But, I'm excited just to watch those guys fight. They're both legends. And whoever wins, we all win.
as well. Now that we've seen a few underdogs get it done, do you think people are underestimating him as well a little?
At the weight, like that weight obviously changes it pretty drastically. Like Max has been competing at feather and only recently had a couple dust ups at lightweight. I'm sure he probably walks around about that weight, but still, I don't feel like that's not where Conor did his best work. Was at 170. Max is fast, and for me, just been competing at consistently at an elite level. Fighting's not something that you can pick up and put down when you feel like it. Getting back into it after being inactive for so
While
long.
plenty of people have puzzled over why McGregor would come back, given everything he's already accomplished outside the cage, the man standing across from him sees it differently. Holloway believes that underneath all the fame and fortune, McGregor is still fundamentally the same fighter he's always been a warrior at heart. He also pushed back on the assumption that McGregor spent his years away simply coasting, suggesting instead that period was likely about healing and rebuilding rather than just enjoying the good life. That same mindset shapes how Holloway views the 5-year layoff that so many others see as an impossible gap to close. Holloway isn't buying that narrative. His logic is straightforward. Nobody agrees to fight a genuinely dangerous opponent unless they're actually ready for it. So rather than gearing up for some diminished version of McGregor, he's training as if he's facing a fully committed, fully dangerous rival. Holloway also brushed off the idea that any mind games McGregor tries could rattle him, explaining that trash talk has always been part of his everyday culture and doesn't get under his skin. He'd rather stay composed, though he made clear he won't hesitate to fire back if McGregor starts something. At the end of the day, he says, once that cage door locks, all the talking stops mattering, only the fight itself is real. Alexander Volkanovski, meanwhile, is convinced Holloway has everything needed to beat McGregor as long as he survives the opening round cleanly. His advice for Holloway is to stay away from McGregor's dangerous left hand early and make smart, calculated adjustments instead of trading recklessly right out of the gate. If Holloway gets through that early danger zone, Volkanovski expects his pace, toughness, and growing comfort in close range to slowly wear McGregor down. In his view, that relentless pace eventually breaks McGregor, whether it ends in a stoppage or a decision. Not everyone's ready to make such a confident call, though. Robert Whittaker called this one of the hardest fights to predict, simply because there's still so much unknown. For him, the biggest question mark is just who McGregor actually is at this point. There's no telling how he'll look once he's back in there. Whittaker still considers McGregor one of the most dangerous strikers the sport has ever produced, but whether that talent survives years of inactivity is anyone's guess. And the uncertainty doesn't stop there. In his opinion, McGregor's likely grown more comfortable at this new weight after training there for so long, while Holloway's entire game plan is built around volume and speed, leaving open the question of whether that style translates against someone like McGregor. As for McGregor's wrestling, Whittaker couldn't help but laugh, doubting it would hold up. That same uncertainty is exactly what makes this fight so compelling to Dan Hooker. While some people may be underestimating McGregor because of the move up in weight, Hooker still leans toward Holloway for one clear reason: activity. Holloway's consistently tested himself against elite competition, while McGregor's been away from that level of competition for years. And Hooker doesn't think that kind of readiness can just be switched back on overnight. Still, he was careful not to dismiss McGregor entirely, praising him for fighting through a brutal leg injury with zero financial need to return, calling it proof the drive to prove himself is still very much alive. Hooker also emphasized that McGregor remains an exceptionally gifted athlete with elite striking instincts, layoff or not, and underestimating that would be a mistake, even with Holloway's activity edge. Wade Plemons offered a different lens entirely, focusing on McGregor's recent media behavior. He pointed out that, despite being one of the sport's best promoters, McGregor has never really enjoyed the media circus that comes with stardom, recalling past moments where he resisted those obligations. Plemons sees his current low-key approach as a good sign rather than chasing the spotlight. McGregor seems locked in on the fight itself, which could mean his priorities are exactly where they should be for a matchup this big. Julius Walker didn't hesitate at all, picking Holloway outright. He acknowledged the size jump is a real challenge for Holloway, but believes his experience against the sport's toughest competition outweighs it. Walker also noted just how long it's been since McGregor last won a fight, contrasting that with Holloway's steady activity against elite opponents, and predicts Holloway gets the win, most likely by stoppage. Chaos Williams found the fight tough to call too, refusing to fully count McGregor out despite the layoff. He believes a hungry, motivated McGregor can always produce something special, but ultimately gave Holloway a slight edge based on his recent activity. So who are you picking, McGregor or Holloway? Drop your prediction in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more MMA news, breakdowns, and updates.